Good morning dear students, myself Deepika Shetty and I am a faculty member of Department of Chemistry, JSS RSHPU College, Dharwad. So today we are going to start the organic chemistry chapter. As you already know, there are 14 chapters in your syllabus for first 3 chapters are there which are included in the organic chemistry part. The first one is organic chemistry, basic principles and techniques. Second chapter, hydrocarbons, and the third chapter is environmental chemistry. So first we are starting with the first chapter, that is organic chemistry, basic principles and techniques. Organic chemistry is the study of carbon compounds that you know already, right? So the study of organic chemistry is not the recent one. Around 200 years ago only the organic chemistry was studied. Around the year 1780, chemists start to begin the classification of chemical compounds into two categories as inorganic compounds and organic compounds. They classify the chemical compounds as inorganic compounds and organic compounds. Inorganic compounds are studied under the branch inorganic chemistry, whereas organic compounds are studied under the branch called as organic chemistry. Inorganic compounds are the compounds obtained from minerals, rocks, etc. That is from the non-living sources. The inorganic compounds are the compounds which are originated, which are obtained from the non-living things. Whereas organic compounds are originated or obtained from living things like plants and animals. These are obtained from plants and animals, that is from the living sources. Sugar, starch, fruit juices, etc. are extracted from the plants, whereas milk, honey, these are extracted from the animals. So these are all considered as the organic compounds. And it is also known in those times that inorganic compounds can be prepared in the laboratory, but organic compounds can be prepared only, or it is not prepared in the laboratory, it is only taken from the plants and animals. So to explain the formation of organic compounds, one theory was given by the scientist called as Berzelius, and the theory is called as vital force theory. The theory is called as vital force theory. So according to this vital force theory, what he tells that there is some mysterious force, there is some vital force which is operating in the plants and animals, which is responsible for the formation of organic compounds. So from that mysterious force, adu yavado ಒಂದು ಕಾಣದಂತ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಇದೆ in plants and animals, ಅದರಿಂದಾಗಿ organic compounds prepare ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಈ ಥಿಯರಿ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. But in the year 1828, the scientist called as Euler, he prepared the first compound in the laboratory, which is accidentally prepared by him, and that compound is urea. He was doing some experiment and there he accidentally got one compound which is called as urea, and it is an organic compound. What he did is ammonium cyanate on heating. This is ammonium cyanate, NH4CnO. On heating, there is a formation of urea, that is NH2CONH2. So this compound was prepared in the laboratory, and this is an organic compound. And the first compound prepared in the laboratory was urea, and that too from the inorganic compound. So this ends that vital force theory. So there is no such any mysterious force in plants and animals which is only responsible to create the organic compounds. We can even prepare the organic compounds in the laboratory by using inorganic compounds also. So in later years there is a formation of, or they prepared, some other scientists, they prepared acetic acid, methane in the laboratory from the inorganic compounds. So that ends the theory. Vital force theory was discarded completely. So why to study organic chemistry? Organic chemistry is a very important aspect in our life. The life itself based on the organic compounds. For example, the carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, nucleic acids, that is nothing but DNA and RNA, they are organic compounds. The food we eat, the medicines we take, the plastic polymers which we are using in our day-to-day life, the pesticides, so everything whatever we use, they contain the organic compounds. So it's very important to learn about them. We should know some things about organic compounds, and that is done by the organic chemistry. So organic chemistry is the study of carbon compounds. So why only carbon compounds? What is so special about carbon? See, there are two main reasons why this is separately studied and why we are getting so many millions of organic compounds. The first property of carbon which is responsible to get so many compounds of carbon is tetravalency of carbon. Tetravalency of carbon. So what is valency? Valency is combining capacity of a carbon atom. So not only carbon atom, it is a combining capacity of an element. How many bonds it can form? ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಂಧಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ? ವ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೊ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು? ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ 4 ಬಾಂಡ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ಗೆ 4 ಬಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಇದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ? ಟೆಟ್ರಾವ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸಿ ಆಫ್ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೊ ಹೌ ಇಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಬಿಟ್ಸ್ ಟೆಟ್ರಾವ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸಿ? Carbon is represented by C, which is having atomic number 6, right? Its electronic configuration ಹೇಗೆ ಬರೀತೇವೆ? 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. So this is the electronic configuration of carbon atom. So you can represent it like this also. That is, if this is our outermost shell, 2s2 and 2p2. So one electron needs subshell. So like this we can write the electronic configuration. It is a representation of electronic configuration in the ground state. So on excitation, when it is forming a bond, what happens? One of the electron makes transition from 2s to 2p atomic orbital. So now we can write it as like this. So there are total 4 electrons in the outermost shell which are ready to undergo the bond formation. ಈ 4 ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಇದು ಬೇರೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಾಂಡ್ ಅನ್ನು ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. So like this we can show the tetravalency of carbon atom. These 4 unpaired electrons can combine with 4 other electrons of different elements to form a compound. So if I take carbon, it is having 4 valency electrons around itself. 4 valence electron ಇದೆ which is ready to undergo the bonding. ಬಂಧ ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಡಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ. So if I take an example of hydrogen, if I take methane as an example, how it is formed? Hydrogen is having 1 electron. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ 4 electron ಇದೆ already. 4 hydrogen ಇದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. So 4 hydrogen comes around this carbon so that the bond is formed in this way. So here carbon is having 4 electron and it forms a compound. When it forms a compound, it is in need of 8 electrons. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅದು compound ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. compound ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಏನು major important factor ಏನು? That compound is to be stable. So our stability ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? When that element is having 8 electrons around itself. So ಆ 8 electrons ಬರಬೇಕು ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಸುತ್ತ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ already we have 4 electrons. So ಇನ್ನು 4 electrons ಬೇಕು. So still 4 electrons are required. So if 4 hydrogen comes with its electron, then what happens? There is a formation of 4 covalent bonds. So sharing of electron takes place. Carbon electron ಕೊಡೋದಾಗಲಿ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಾಗಲಿ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ? ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. Complete loss, complete gain is not possible by carbon. Rather it is undergoing preferentially, it undergoes sharing of electrons so that covalent bond is formed and it gets 8 electrons in the outermost shell and that's how it gets the stability. So you nodri 8 electrons are there around carbon atom. So like this it gets the stability. Tara, all the carbon atoms, all the carbon compounds are having 8 electrons around itself so that the compounds formed by the carbon are very stable. Whatever may be the number of carbon atom as it is having tetravalency, when it forms a bond, covalent bond, it gets 8 electrons around itself and that makes it more stable. ಆ ಸ್ಟೆಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇಂದಾಗಿ ನಮಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ನೇಚರಲ್ಲಿ. This is the first reason why we get so many compounds of carbon, that is tetravalency of carbon, because of which we get the compounds which are very, very stable. The second property which is responsible for getting so many molecules, organic molecules, is catenation. Second one is catenation. Cateneekarana anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. So catenation is a self-linking capacity of any element. It is not only about carbon, it may be any element. But the catenation property is maximum. Extent of catenation, cateneeಕರಣ ಆಗುವಂತ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ? ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ನಿಗೆ. In around 180 elements, among 118 elements in the periodic table, this property, catenation property, is maximum observed in case of carbon. So that is catenation. What is catenation? It is a self-linking capacity of a carbon. So one carbon can combine with 4 other carbon atoms. Those 4 carbon atoms can combine with remaining 4 carbon atoms. So like this, it can form huge molecules, and those huge molecules are stable because of the octet. So catenation is a self-linking capacity of any element. Here carbon links with itself to form long chain compounds, and that property is called as catenation. So because of catenation, it can form this kind of long chain compounds with a straight chain, and also it can form branched chain compounds like this, or it can form cyclic structures also. So whatever the arrangement is, it is very, very stable as it forms 4 bonds, it attains octet. Whatever may be the number of carbon atom, the formed compound will be very, very stable. So these are the 2 reasons why we are getting so many compounds, large number of organic compounds. Now let us study the characteristic properties of organic compounds. So the first characteristic property, Gunadharma. Okay, so first characteristic property of organic compound is they are covalent compounds. Avagale helidage carbon is having tetravalency, so the compounds of carbon are stable because of the octet, and to get that octet it has to share the electron. So sharing of electron agtade andralli yav bond agutte? Covalent bond is formed. So the most of the organic compounds are covalent compounds. So there is no loss or gain of electrons, so that's why the compounds are non-polar in nature. Covalent compounds irodrinda adella ಯಾವ ತರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ? They are non-polar in nature. The second property is they are having low melting point and low boiling point. ಕರಗುವ ಬಿಂದು ಹಾಗೂ ಕುದಿಯುವ ಬಿಂದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ. Low boiling point and low melting point. So low boiling point ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅಂದ್ರೆ at a very low temperature the liquid can be converted into the gas. So it is easily vaporizing. Low boiling point ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ? Because of the low boiling point, the liquid easily undergoes vaporization. So ಹಾಗಾಗಿ organic compounds are volatile in nature ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Organic compounds are volatile in nature. Why they are volatile in nature? Because they are having low boiling point. This is the second property of organic compounds. The third property is they are insoluble in water, but they are soluble in organic solvent. Being non-polar, they are soluble in non-polar solvents. They are insoluble in water. Water alli dissolve agodilla. Then next is the fourth property is they are highly inflammable. That means it easily catches fire. For example, fuels easily they catch fire. Then fifth property is they are non-conductors of electricity. They don't carry the current. As they are non-polar in nature, they are covalent compounds, so they are non-conductors of electricity. Electricity conduct ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ions ಅಥವಾ free electrons ಇರಬೇಕು, which are not there in the organic compound, so they are non-conductors of electricity. And the sixth one is the reactions of organic compounds are very slow. As they are very, very stable compounds, they are undergoing reactions at a slower rate. So these are the characteristic properties of organic compounds. Now you can distinguish the organic compounds from the inorganic compounds. Okay, so how to distinguish from the inorganic compounds? See here, if I consider inorganic compounds, see here the first one is organic compounds are covalent compounds, whereas inorganic compounds will be, they are ionic compounds. Most of the inorganic compounds are ionic compounds. ಅಂದರೆ ಅಯಾನೀಕರಣ ಬಾಂಡ್ ಬಂಧ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ionic bond formation ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Either there will be a loss or gain of the electron during the bond formation. So ionic bond ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾವ ತರ ಇರ್ತದೆ, the molecules are polar in nature, the compounds are polar in nature. Then the second one is organic compounds are having low melting and boiling point, whereas inorganic compounds are having high melting point and high boiling point. They are having high melting point and high boiling point compared to the organic compounds. The third point of difference is organic compounds are insoluble in water, whereas inorganic compounds are soluble in water. These are soluble in water, whereas insoluble in organic solvents. Insoluble in organic solvents. Then the fourth difference is organic compounds are inflammable, whereas inorganic compounds are non-inflammable. They don't catch fire. Non-inflammable. Then next is they are non-conductors of electricity. Organic compounds are non-conductors of electricity, whereas inorganic compounds are very good conductors of electricity. Good conductors of electricity. And the last one is the organic compounds are undergoing reaction at a slower rate as they are very stable because of the octane, whereas inorganic compounds are showing reactions at faster rate. Reactions are fast compared to the organic reactions. Inorganic reactions are fast in nature. So these are the differences between organic compounds and inorganic compounds.